Chapter 22, Furniture. So far as machinery is concerned for converting wood into furniture, the same has been anticipated in the previous chapter, but much remains to be said about the articles of furniture themselves. Although from ancient days the most ancient countries provided by hand elaborate and beautiful articles of furniture of many descriptions, yet it has been left for modern advances in machinery and kindred arts to yield that universal supply of convenient and ornamental furniture which now prevails. The Egyptians used chairs and tables of a more modern form than the Greeks or Romans, who lolled about on couches even at their meals, but the Egyptians did not have the convenient section tables built in sliding sections, which permit the table to be enlarged to accommodate an increased number of guests. And now recently this modern form of table has been improved by arranging the sections and leaves, so that when the sections are slid out the leaves are automatically raised and placed in position, which is done either by lazy tongs mechanism, or by a series of parallel links. Tables constructed with folding detachable and adjustable legs, tables constructed for special purposes as sewing machines, and typewriting machine tables, by which the machine head may be dropped beneath the tabletop when not in use. Tables combined with desks wherein the table part may be slid into the desk part when not in use, and the sliding cover pulled down to cover and lock from sight. Both the table and desk, surgical tables, adapted to be raised or lowered at either end or at either side and to be extended, knockdown tables, adapted to be taken all apart for shipment or storage, tables combined with chairs to be folded down by the side of the chair when not in use, and many other useful forms have been added to the list. Much ingenuity has been displayed in the construction of desks, to save and economize space. Mention has been made of a combined folding desk and extensible table. Another form is an arrangement of desk drawers, whereby when one drawer is locked or unlocked, all the rest are locked or unlocked automatically. Whatever shape or function anyone desires in a desk may be met, except, perhaps, the performance of the actual work of the occupant. In the matter of beds, the principal developments have been due to the advancement of woodworking machinery, and the manufacture of iron, steel, and brass. The old-fashioned ponderous bedsteads, put together by heavy screws, have given way to those mortised and tenoned, joined and matched, and by which they can easily be put up and taken down, and to iron and brass bedsteads, which are both ornamental and more healthful. No bed may be without an inexpensive steel spring frame or mattress for the support of the bedding. Folding beds made to economize space, and when folded upright become an ornamental bureau, and invalid bedsteads, designed for shifting the position of the invalid, are among the many modern improvements. Kitchen utensils. A vast amount of drudgery in the kitchen has been relieved by the convenient inventions and labor-saving appliances. Coffee and spice mills, can openers, stationary washtubs, stopper extractors, superseding the old style of hand corkscrews where large numbers of bottles are to be uncorked, refrigerators and provision safes, attaching and lifting devices and convenient culinary dishes and utensils of great variety. Curtains, shades and screens have been wonderfully improved in their use made widely possible by modern inventions and new adaptation of old methods. Wood, cotton, silk, paper, combined or uncombined with other materials, in many novel ways unknown to our ancestors, have rendered these articles available in thousands of homes, where the use was unknown and impossible a century ago. Among the most convenient attachments to shades is the spring roller, invented by Hartshorn of America in 1864, whereby the shade is automatically rolled upon its stick to raise or lower it. Window screens for the purpose of excluding flies, mosquitoes, and other insects, while freely admitting the air, are now made extensible and adjustable in different ways to fit different sizes of windows. Curtains and shades are provided with neat and most attractive supporting rods, to which they are attached by brass or wooden rings, and provided with easily manipulated devices to raise and securely hold them in any desired position. The art of steaming wood and bending it, by iron pattern forms adjustable to the forms desired, as particularly devised in principle by Blanchard in America in 1828 to 1840, referred to in woodworking, has produced great changes in the art of furniture making, especially in chairs. A particularly interesting illustration of the results of this art occurred in Austria. About 40 years ago the manufacture in Germany and Austria of furniture by machinery, especially of bent woodware, became well established there, and by the time of the Vienna Exposition in 1873, factories on the most extensive scale for the construction of bed furniture were in operation among the vast mountain beech forests of Moravia and Hungary. The greatest of these works were located in Great Ugras, Hungary, and Biarritz, Moravia, with 20 or more auxiliary establishments. Between 5,000 and 6,000 work people were employed, the greater part of whom were females, and it was necessary to use steam and water motors, to the extent of many hundred horsepower. The forests were felled, and the tree-tops removed and made into charcoal for use in the glass works of Bohemia. The trunks were hauled to the mills and sawed into planks of suitable thickness by gang saws. The planks in turn were cut with circular saws into square pieces for turning, and then the pieces turned and cut on lathes, to give them the size required and the rounded shape. The pieces then steamed while in the green state for 24 hours in suitable boilers, then taken out and bent to the desired shape on a cast iron frame by hand, then subjected, with the desired pattern, to the pattern turning table, and cut, then kept locked in the pattern's iron embrace, until the pieces were dried and permanently set in shape, then clamped to a bench, filed, rasped, stained, and French polished by the deft hands of the women, then assembled in proper position in frames of the form of the chair or other article to be made, their contact surface sawed to fit at the joints, and then finally the parts glued together and further secured by the addition of a few screws or balls. Chairs, lounges and lighter furniture were thus made from bent pieces of wood with very few joints, having a neat and attractive appearance, and possessing great strength. The art has spread to other forests and other countries, and the turned bent highly polished and beautiful furniture of this generation would have been but a dream of beauty to the householder of a century ago. Children's chairs are made so that the seat may be raised or lowered, or the chair converted into a perambulator. Dentists' chairs have been developed until it is only necessary for the operator to turn a valve governing a fluid, generally oil, under pressure to raise or lower the chair and the patient. In the more agreeable situation at the theatre or concert, one may hang his hat on the bottom of the chair, upturned to afford access to it through a crowded row, and turning down the chair, sit with pleasure, as the curtain is rolled up by compressed air, or electricity, at the touch of a button. To the unthinking and unobserving, the subject of bottle stoppers is not entrancing, but those acquainted with the art know with what long, continuous, earnest efforts thousands of inventors have sought for the best and cheapest bottle stopper to take the place of corks, the enormous demand for which was exhausting the supply and rendering their price almost prohibitive. One of the most successful types is a stopper of rubber combined with a metal disc and hung by a wire on the neck of the bottle, so that the stopper can be used over and over again. Another form composed of glass or porcelain and cork. Another is a thin disc of cork placed in a thin metal cap, which is crimped over a shoulder on the neck of the bottle, and still another is a thin disc of pasteboard adapted for milk bottles and pressed tightly within a rim on the inside of the neck of the bottle. In this connection should be mentioned that self-sealing fruit jar, known from its inventor as Mason's fruit jar, which came into such universal use that combination of screw cap, screw-threaded jar neck and the rubber ring, or gasket, on which the cap was screwed so tightly as to seal the jar hermetically. In lamp lighting, what a wonderful change from the old oil lamps of former ages. The modern lamp may be said to be an improved means of grace, as it will hold out much longer, and shed a far more attractive light for the sinner. His return, by its genial light, is, even to the end, so greatly desired. The discovery of petroleum and its introduction as a light produced a revolution in the construction of lamps. Wicks were not discarded, but changed in shape from round to flat, and owing to the coarseness and disagreeable odor of coal oil, especially in its early unrefined days, devices first had for their object the easy feeding of the wick and perfect combustion. To this end the burner portion through which the wick passed was perforated at its base to create a proper draught, and later the cap over the base was also perforated. But with refined oil the disagreeable odor continued. It was found that this was mainly due to the fact that both in lamps and stoves, the oil would ooze out of the wick onto the adjacent parts of the lamps or stove, and when the wick was lit the heat would burn or heat the oil, and thus produce the odor. Inventors therefore contrived to separate the oil reservoir and wick part, when the lamp or stove were not in use, and finally, in stoves, to dispense with the wick altogether. As wickless oil stoves are now in successful use, the wickless lamp may be expected to follow. The lamp, however, that throws all others into the shade is that odorless, heatless, magic, mellow, tempered light of electricity that springs out from the little filament in its hermetically sealed glass cage, and shines with unsurpassed loveliness on all those fortunate enough to possess it.